Primarily, this park was the first one that we were looking at. It's quite a small park, but it was quite neglected. Obviously, council cutbacks and things, so there wasn't really anything in the way of planting. And because this is quite a built-up area, very urban, with not many people having their own gardens, we did some consultation in the community, and there was a lot of interest in setting up a gardening project 5 years ago, and we started with not an awful lot of knowledge, so it's been a huge learning curve. And the first year it was really about just making the park more pleasant to be in, safer for people, trying to just make improvements and add a bit of colour. We had to get what's called a PTU, a permission to use, from Glasgow City Council, which gives us the ability to be able to make changes to the park with their permission. So we then did that for Cherry Park, which is just 5 minutes walk away, another small park, quite similar in size. And so that's what we're working on for the first 4 years. And then last year we got another PTU from the council, and that was for Yorkhill Park, which is a much bigger park. It's a bit more wild, and our main aim there is to improve the biodiversity. So we're not putting in pretty flower beds and things, we're putting in wildflower meadows and little native hedgings and things like that. So we've put in lots of plug plants. This is less than a year ago we've had that one. People, volunteers from local businesses as well. So this particular wildflower strip, it has no flowers to see yet, but it will soon. So we put in lots of plug plants and seed bombs and planted seeds, planted little trees and saplings. But it's been kept quite wild, and that's to try and improve the whole biodiversity, or enhance the biodiversity. So that's become a kind of main focus for us, really, is the whole biodiversity part of it, rather than just about planting flower beds. So we're quite particular in what we do plant, and it's always native plants, peat-free compost, all of these sort of things which people I think are becoming much more aware of anyway. I think it's definitely raised an awareness that all of us can make a difference, even if it seems quite small. So for example, during the lockdown, particularly in the first year when we weren't able to get together and do any gardening, people were really appreciating the green spaces by just walking in them. That was as much as we could do. And we set up a species list where people would take photographs or log in any species that they found, whether it was insects, animals, birds, or plants. And that sort of was another new kind of area that people hadn't, probably a lot of people, including myself, hadn't really been looking at before. So I think it's really raised the awareness. We are on a beeline, which means that our parks form part of a stepping stone for bees to travel across the city. And so it's little things like that people are realising that each time they sow some wildflower seeds, or dig in some plug plants, that they're actually making a difference for the planet, basically, for the raising the importance of helping with the wildlife. I think with having COP26 literally in this area in November there, that it was really highlighted that everybody was so aware of the immediate need to do something and make changes. And I found it really gave me lots of hope and optimism when I was watching the young people's protest march, and it was just so inspiring seeing what they were doing and how much passionately they were caring about it. So I think it's so important. We have to keep getting the message across about everything to do with whether it's recycling, upcycling, less use of cars, all of these different things, as well as the main part that we're focused on, which is the biodiversity part of it. I think actually the young people are probably more aware than other age groups, because they're learning about it and seeing how important it is to so many aspects of their life. So I think it's vital, and we're delighted that we're going to be part of educating the young people and helping them do some practical work that they can then continue to do in other green spaces themselves. Absolutely, and I think that's a big part of it, is the networking with other groups. We are in quite a few different forums. For example, one is one organised by Glasgow City Council, so it's Friends of the Parks groups, and that's been really good. And during the lockdown period, we're actually doing Zoom meetings instead, but it's a great way of getting information and advice, sharing best practice, asking questions, and just picking one another's brains. So we found it really useful when we set up at the very beginning, because we're completely new to that, but now we find that we're now the ones that are kind of helping other new groups set up as well. So I think that's a really important. There are a lot of green space parks and Friends of the Park groups in Glasgow. Mm-hmm. We've won various ones. We have got the Green Flag Award. This will be our third year of applying for it, so we've achieved that twice, and that's a community award where there are set criteria, and it's to do with how the management of the park is improving, what kind of action plans we have, and how much of that we're achieving each year. So it's hopefully seen as sort of moving up each time. And that's nice because there's a sense of recognition when something like that is awarded to you. We've also, It's Your Neighbourhood, which is part of Keep Scotland Beautiful. We have had an award from them for 4 years so far, and that's for all 3 parks. And again, that follows a lot of the criteria of how well it's been managed, what kind of care's been taken, how we communicate. And we were also, through Nature Scot and Keep Scotland Beautiful last year, awarded Pollinator Friendly Group of the Year for Scotland. We were first in that. We had been second the previous year, but this year we came first, so we're delighted at that. And it's just nice to know that all the work that we're doing has been recognised and used as best practice for other people as well. Peat-free compost, everything that we can. We're putting in water butts, compost bins, but in fact it's a lovely wild piece of woodland, and so we're enhancing it by ensuring that there are lots of meadow flower strips, but to try and encourage, we've also dotted around here, you can actually hear the birds. We've got quite a lot of nesting boxes, we've got bat boxes, we have solitary bee houses and bee hotels, so it's a wee town for all the wildlife as well. They're more than welcome to be here. So we're trying to encourage, and this is it forms part of the bee line that takes the insects, the pollinators, right across the city. It's like a stepping stone to the next green space. So we're doing everything that we can in the most natural way that we can. See, a couple of the people there are volunteers with our group anyway that have got allotments. So there's a lot of vegetable growing and things like that going on. It's lovely. It's just they are much more aware than certainly we ever were. When we were younger, there's no avoiding the learning about it and what's happening. And I think it's great when we see the young people coming out as volunteers and of all ages. And it's really important because it's been left for too long without things being done where it's all been to do with finance and politics and industry. And it's really just bringing it down to literally grassroots, where people can look around them in their own environment and really make a difference. And that's why we're delighted that, as I said, that we've got 90 young people coming to this park, and they'll be doing the slopes which are kind of behind there, just completely planting 1,600 wildflower plug plants, and knowing that they can one day, that's the difference that they can make, and hopefully they can then go and spread the word to others. It's just so important that everybody does some little change to make this a better planet.